Okay, secret number 4. So this is where we're going to dive really deep into some of the subtle hints of interest that guys really want you to know. So what happens when you're into someone? So I want to talk about what's happening in our brains when we meet someone attractive. And this is really going to help you to become more aware of where you're spending your time and your energy. So have you ever met someone new, say it's at a party or social event through a weak tie, you were introduced by a mutual friend, you start to have a nice chat. There's a slight chill in the air. I want to kind of paint a picture. But there's something about this guy that's keeping you warm anyway. I know it's kind of cheesy, but go with me here. So you don't realize that you've been standing outside for 20 minutes. You don't have a care in the world except wondering if your hair still looks good. And this guy's pretty cute that you're talking to. He seems to be having a good time. He's smiling. He tells you a joke, laughs at the punchline. No worries. You're so far so good. So at the end of the night, you think to yourself that you must have done something right because he says, hey, I really enjoyed talking to you. Maybe we could go and grab a bite to eat. Okay, example. Okay, dating's like a dance. We talked about that. Once you get it, you can win. Okay, awesome. All right. So you're really, really excited. You say, yeah, sure. That would be great. And so you end up texting him for the rest of the night. So let's take a step back from the story for a moment. So when you just barely met this guy, like it's just some random dude at a party, and could things go somewhere with him? Absolutely. And potentially, and I hope so for right now, and I want you to pay attention to something that's super, super important. There's not a ton of investment going on at this stage of the relationship. It's really weird to invest 110% for either party because you've only just met each other. Yet your mind seems to be investing quite a bit of mental and emotional energy into someone you just barely met. And so this is probably one of my favorite principles of all time. And I want to give a quote. This guy, his name is David Allen. He says, this constant, unproductive preoccupation is the single largest consumer of time and energy. Whoa. Constant, unproductive preoccupation. Single largest consumer of time and energy. And it really doesn't make a lot of sense to be investing a ton at this stage, but we do it anyway. You see, our brains are flooded with dopamine and endorphins. We feel good, and we really don't clue things together. And so his focus, David Allen's focus here, was based around productivity and getting things done. Ours is essentially more on building relationships. And so the idea is really the same with a different context. And so what I call this is the concept of looping. And looping is the idea that we have an open thought loop in our minds. And we won't be able to get these thoughts out of our head until we close the loop. And I'm sure this has happened to you. Meet some guy, and that whole night, can't stop thinking about him. You're like, oh my gosh, this guy was amazing. And you have this constant preoccupation with this guy that you just barely met. And it doesn't make sense at all. But that's the crazy part, is that this is going to keep going and keep looping if we don't fix it. We won't be able to get these thoughts out of our heads until we close the loop. And so we have open loops for 3 main reasons here. And the first is you don't know what you want yet. So meaning that you have this guy, but you don't know what you want the end result to be. Hopefully it results in him asking you out, you guys start dating and, what have you, but you don't know if that's really what you want, because you don't really know, if that's, you don't really, know if this is the guy, that you really want that with, because you don't really know him super well, and that's okay. It's totally fine. But you really don't know what you want yet. Second, you haven't decided what to do next. So meaning that you aren't really sure what to make of the whole situation. You're like, do I text him? Do I call him? If you didn't get his number, do I, shoot him a message over Facebook, or do I try to DM him in Instagram, or, all these different things? You're like, what is the next step? And you kind of just have these open thoughts in your head about not sure what you want and not sure what you want to do next about the whole thing. And third, even if you did, you haven't really put a reminder in a system that you trust. And we don't necessarily have to have all these things that have open loops, just one of them, that's all. But these are usually the three main reasons. And so this could be, for this third one, it could be, like that, basically putting a reminder in your phone or your computer or something. You're like, do I text, do I call? All these different things, you're not really sure what to do. So how do we avoid this? David Allen said, rule your mind or it will rule you. So if we take another look, and you've just met this guy, hopefully you're looking for a relationship, but you don't know if it's with him yet, you barely know this guy, you don't know what to do exactly next, right? And then, let alone putting something in a system, because you don't even know what you would put in that system. So when things are on our minds, and we can't utilize any of these steps, the most important thing we can do is take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And so here's an example. You meet this guy, you give him your number, so 1 step forward. You have one more chance at this stage. Take the leap of faith, take some initiative, and invite him to do something. So you only have one more step. Could be an invitation. Maybe it's you texting him first. And after you take that step, you have to take a step back. It's super, super important. After you take 2 steps forward, the ball is now in his court, and it's his turn. So it's time for him to make the move. So take the step forward, or take the step back. Not being the first one to text or even say that you're available to do something when he invites you to do something. Because nothing easy in this life is worth having, and a lot of guys will kind of have this idea in their heads that, hey, if I invite this girl to do something, she's always going to come. And we're going to be covering this a lot more in secret number 5 about keeping people interested, keeping guys interested. And so don't be easy. Take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because you are worth so much more than that. And it's going to make him want to chase you here. Okay. Concept 4, the one thing that's going to 180 your dating game. And you're going to be seriously in the top percentage of women who are going to understand these little hints. And it's really, it's almost not even fair sometimes, because some guys, you're basically just going to have an open book to this guy. You're going to be with him. You're going to start to recognize some of the signals that he's dropping and things that even he's doing subconsciously and doesn't even know is happening. You'll be like, oh, this guy's totally into me, because you start to recognize some of those things. So I'm really excited for this one. Let's go ahead and get started. So first thing is, the less space, the better. So a guy that tries to close out the space between you and him is someone who's going to try to move closer, someone who's going to try to be near you. So if you move around somehow, he's going to move with you. So he's going to try to close that space. So somebody who's standing closer to you is someone who's definitely interested. Any excuse will do. So some guys will use any excuse to talk to you, or even touch you on the arm. It could be even a playful push or something after you make a joke, something like that. And so the third thing is asking about the small stuff. And honestly, most people, they don't care, really honestly, where you're from, a major in college, or your family dynamic. But if he's really, really interested, this is someone who is going to be asking about those things, and he's really going to make it a point to talk about those small things. And most people really won't do that. They'll ask maybe a few questions, but those guys who are really getting the small details are really going to be the ones that are going to be more interested. So 4 is eyes tell all. So watch how his eyes move. You'll notice that guys who like you, they'll tend to hold your gaze for a lot longer than normal, like we were teaching in The Last Secret. So we like to take in as much as we can as guys. And so if he's talking to you and his eyes are a little bit wider, then usually he's wanting to take in more of those things. This is one of the most subtle hints that guys will drop and they won't even know that this is happening. So that's a really fun one. Also, plans looking ahead. This is a dead giveaway because obviously we don't give attention to people or things that we don't really like. And so if he's asking you to hang out or do something, it's pretty obvious that he likes you. So like we said, any excuse will do as well, and plans looking ahead. So for example, let's do let's do a case study. So this is Lexi, and let's put ourselves in Lexi's shoes and kind of uncover some of these secrets in a real life situation. So let's say that you've known this guy Todd for a few weeks. He finally asks you out, you know, hair's cut perfectly, clean shaven. So he walks up to your apartment, knocks on the door, you say hi, you give him a hug, and you both walk out and start heading to the restaurant. You start chatting while you guys wait for your food. The first thing your brain does is don't panic, don't do anything weird at all, right? So the date continues, your conversation's pretty trivial and kept at a surface level. He says a few jokes that aren't really funny, but you smile and laugh anyway. You walk back to the car, he drops you off at the front door, he gives you a hug and walks off. And that's it. And so this is where the fun begins. These are like all the unanswered questions, right? This is like, how did it actually go? Does he like me? Did I communicate that I like him? You know, if you really do. Did I communicate that I don't like him by giving the wrong impression? This is even worse. Like, were you doing things that were giving him the wrong impression in making him think, oh, this girl really isn't into me at all? So let's go back. Let's go back to this example. Something was missing here. There's something that Lexi didn't quite understand and something that you're about to get and understand right now. So this is the make or break part of the early stages of dating. And it's the element of dating that builds intensifying attraction and uncontrollable desire in the opposite sex. I'm serious. Like, this is the one thing. This is a psychological trigger, if you will, that is so deeply rooted in guys that he himself won't even realize what's happening. It's the one thing that keeps things interesting, that keeps things exciting, and it's going to help foster a really powerful relationship, and one that gets him to crave and want to be with you. And seriously, this is probably the one of the most valuable things that you can learn about men. The best part about this thing is that this is something that's innate inside all of us. And the issue, though, with this is that it remains dormant until we know how to activate it. And so there's a few very specific things that I'm going to teach you so that you can activate this power within yourself. It's called the flirting connection. Okay, this is really, really fun. So it's very simple. The flirting connection is the love interest element interwoven through body language and teasing between two potential romantic partners. In simpler terms, is the way that you send and receive signals of interest with the guy you're interested in. So there are two aspects to the flirting connection. So this is where dating gets really, really fun and actually enjoyable once you know how to do it. So I'm going to share with you some of the key secrets to understanding the flirting connection here. And once you do, it's going to give you an unfair advantage in competing for some of the most attractive men out there. So two aspects of this. First one here is body language secrets. And then we're going to talk about playful teasing and using these things together, like we talked about here, interwoven through body language and teasing between two potential romantic partners. The love interest element are these things right here. So let's talk about this first one, body language secrets. Seriously, guys, this is literally becomes a dead giveaway to what they're thinking. So let's go back to our example with Lexi, and let's say that she has learned what you're about to learn here with body language secrets as a pro. So you've known this guy Todd, asked you out on a date, who he is, he walks up to your apartment, knocks on the door. So you say hi, and you notice that his eyes widen and he slightly raises his eyebrows. And you, know that the eyes of every guy expand to allow more things of what they want to see, right? This is a huge attraction sign here. And you give him a hug. You both, so you give him a hug. Your arms go around his neck and he brings you in tight. You notice that your torsos are touching, which is a really good sign. You also see, guys, like if your torsos aren't touching, it may just be like a first day that he doesn't really know you super well, but if he is, that's a huge, huge sign as well. So you both walk out, and you're walking side by side, and they gently brush each other's shoulders as you talk. If he's not really feeling it, he's gonna probably be taking a step away as you're walking, so you're not as close. Remember what we talked about, that the less space the better with guys when they're interested. So you start heading to the restaurant. You start chatting while you guys wait for your food. And you notice that he's not just looking at your eyes, but he's scanning your whole face from your hairline all the way down to your eyes and to your chin. And guys will actually do this subconsciously, which is another great sign that he's focused on you and he's interested in you. So far so good over here. So the date continues, and his legs are facing towards you instead of away from you. So the conversation's kept pretty trivial and kept at a surface level, but the difference is that he leans in to hear you. And this is another really great sign because he's interested instead of just kind of back channeling, which is like the yep, right, gotcha. Like kind of that back channeling. You also notice during the conversation that he draws a quick breath in, which is out of the ordinary. Now this is a very subtle hint as well that guys do, and something that they don't even realize that they're doing. And they take a sharp, deep breath in. And what happens is this helps them to take up more space and puff out their chest so that their upper body looks bigger. It's more of a slight confidence booster to help them impress you. And it's something just so primitive and things that done for just hundreds and thousands of years, that we want to make ourselves bigger to impress those that we think are attractive. So it's really, really fun. If next time you're on a date, be thinking about these things, these sharp inhales of breath here. So he says a few jokes that really aren't funny, but you smile and you laugh anyway. And he sees you smiling and laughing, and so then he starts to smile. But this just really isn't any ordinary smile. A true smile is something that doesn't stop at the edge of the mouth. It is one that extends into the forehead. And you'll notice this, that he tends to smile with his entire face instead of just his mouth. So you walk back to the car, he drops you off at the door, and he gives you a hug. So after all these clues and these subtle hints, you go from not knowing anything. Do you think that Lexi is really going to have to worry about if he's into her? No, not at all. Since she's a flirting connection master, she's definitely going to expect a follow-up text from him for sure. So just as a recap, because I know that was kind of quick, I'm going to lay this out visually for you guys. So the eyes widen, slightly raise the eyebrows here. The torso's touching your hug. Shoulders are brushing while walking. Eyes are scanning your whole face. Legs are toward you uncrossed. Leaning in, quick inhales in the breath, and then the smile extending into the forehead. And so eyes widening, slightly raised eyebrows, all the way down to the smile. So keeping everything here, these are the body language secrets and things that you can use to kind of take a look at if the guy is interested in you here. Okay, so let's jump to playful teasing. This is really, really fun. This is one of my favorites because I was actually inherently born with this. I've got 3 younger siblings, and I was known as the master tease. And for many years, we didn't really know what it was called. But one day, one of my brothers said, "Adam, you always love getting a rise out of people, don't you?" And I was like, "Oh, that's totally it. Getting a rise out of people." So I want you to share in my joy by becoming a master tease, but not in an annoying way. So here's a couple more examples that you can use. So say you're in a movie and say the guy you're with, he starts eating a snack or popcorn or something. You can lean over and you say, "Psst, hey, can you like stop being so loud for me? Like I'm trying to watch the movie." Like this is really fun because even though he's really, really quiet, you're like, "Hey, like you're being so loud," and you're kind of just like this playful little banter, right? Another one is you say, you know, Tyler, whatever his name is, like you never call. This is really fun, but you have to say it like you're like, Tyler, you never call, like with this, like kind of not like a whiny, but just kind of sassy like tone. This is great, and it's really fun, really playful to tease. And even if he does call, like say you guys like talk like I don't know a couple times a week, it's still like you never call, and it almost like subconsciously also plants the idea in his mind that he should call more often. So here's another one. So say you're at work and you're texting, shoots you a text. You can say something like, "Oh, I knew this was going to happen. You just couldn't resist me, huh?" Or one of my other favorites is you can tease him about things that he's actually never even done for you. So if you're walking like downtown, you see a man who's playing with his girlfriend's hair, you could say, "Wow, you never play with my hair." Like, you know, just like really being for it. Like even though like he's never done that, like it's basically just a really fun, like kind of just playful way to go about it. It's really, really fun. So the whole idea with the forwarding connection is uncovering the body language secrets so that you kind of know where to follow up with the playful teasing. So I promise you guys, if you can get this down, it's going to make dating so much more enjoyable for you. Body language secrets, forwarding connection, and playful teasing, and all encompassed together. So here's our FAQs for secret number 4. So what are some ways that you can tell a guy is interested in you or is into you? What is the concept of looping? You remember that one? How do you start a conversation with a guy you like? What was your aha moment from this section? And how are you going to develop a better forwarding connection? And that could either be just being more fun and being more playful. It could also be understanding more body language secrets as well. Could be another one.